Hi, this is Midnight. I just wanted to apologize in advance here that episodes 1 to 3 of Mistborn unfortunately have some loud background music that I did not notice until after recording episode 3 and finally getting a chance to go through and edit those 3 episodes. Again, I'm very sorry for this. I believe you can hear us, you can make out our voices decently, but it's a little annoying in my opinion, and I can't seem to fix it. So, yeah, I apologize, and it will be gone after episode 3 of Mistborn. Thank you. Alright, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. We are here for episode 2 of Mistborn, where we read chapters 5 and 6. I am Midnight, and I am here with Darkness.
Hello.
And Mythic.
Woo!
Woo! So we had just 2 chapters because they were both, I think, about like 25-ish or so pages each. So no room for any other chapters this week. So getting right into it, the epigraph for chapter 5 reads, "I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. The Terrace philosophers claim that I'll know my duty when the time comes. That's a small comfort. The deepness must be destroyed, and apparently I'm the only one who can do so. It ravages the world even now. If I don't stop it soon, there'll be nothing left of this land but bones and dust." So, what do you guys think the deepness is?
Well, I know for sure it's something important because the basic rule of capitalizing that. But I
Yes. And we do know from later parts in this chapter, which we might as well discuss now, is that I believe Vin says that the Lord Ruler saved them from the deepness.
Interesting.
So whatever it is, it was something that needed to be defeated. Apparently it was something that would leave the land with nothing but bones and dust. So do you think the deepness is a force, a creature, like some sort of like group of people? Like, what do you think it is?
I was just thinking, what if it's like, what are they called? Ska?
The ska?
Ska?
Yeah. What if it's just like, what if it's the
Ska
ska? No. What if it's a ska like when they got their gifts?
What do you mean? The
You know
ska
what I
don't
mean?
have gifts. Only the nobles have the allomancy, technically.
It was wasn't it mentioned? Wasn't it mentioned that they were given some sort of gift?
So it was
And-
mentioned the nobles were gifted the powers of allomancy from the Lord Ruler, as they were the ones who supported him in his early days. The ska are not supposed to have allomancy. They're specifically like normal. They can't have a chance for allomancy unless they interbreed with nobles.
Okay, so maybe it's a group of like you know how it's because I don't want to like go deep into that yet, but whatever. It's like you know how there's like the people that can use a specific metal, and I was
Mystics?
also thinking, yeah, there you go, mistings. I was thinking it's like a upper level misting,
Oh, like a specific type of misting?
like like a non-common metal, misting. And I'm like assuming they were ravaging the others.
I see, okay. So you think it's like a group of people with like super strong like allomancy?
I mean, I'm thinking more along the lines of like barely human, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Sort of like the race, the race
mystery
you're, like,
thing?
talking about? Yeah.
Alright, what do you think, Mythic?
I mean, it's hard to tell because it could be any of these things.
I
It could be a person, it could be a group of people, it could be a force, it could be
Just
not
just
really-
random
very
theory.
vague. Very vague.
It is, but just so So I'm just asking if you just have like kind of a random theory.
I'll say I had no idea what you were talking about, or what it was talking about in the first place. So I kind of put it out of my mind.
The deepness, yeah.
Was it that deep in thought?
Alright, that's fine. So we go into then the main chapter, which we start right after meeting. Start right after the meeting in Vin's point of view. Kelsier finds some good wine in a false back of a secret drawer that Dachshund had missed. They pour 3 glasses along, although Vin doesn't taste her cup of wine. Dachshund notes that they'll need to get another soother and that Breeze seems uncertain. Kelsier is sure that he'll stay for the challenge though. Dachshund also asks when Kelsier's other friends will be here. Kelsier replies a few days and that he'll need a smoker and more atium by then. He apparently used the last of what Dachshund got him buying Orister's contract and at Tresting's plantation. Then wonders what Kelsier has to do with Tresting and what it is about atium. So who do you think these other friends are, and what do you think he means by Orister's contract?
I mean, I feel like he's got a lot of friends in a lot of places, but we find out one of his friends later. But
Sorry, I need to go back because I read this, but like I read this a little bit like a while ago.
Yeah.
So I need a refresher.
Yeah, so they're talking about, Kelsier says he has some friends coming, but they're going to be here in a few days. So that's what I was asking, is who you think his friends are. And also he says he spent the last of his atium buying Orister's contract, as well as spending some of it at Tresting's plantation.
Buying what's that name again?
Orister. Oreseur. Capital O and capital S. So it's like got a capital in the middle of the name for Mythic's audio reader or audio listener.
I don't.
He's only mentioned this one part. I was just kind of curious if you had any thoughts about that, because it says his contract and his name's kind of weird.
That's why I'm trying to. I was trying to remember if he was mentioned at all, like further.
He's
on.
only mentioned at this very beginning part at the start of chapter 5.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, I definitely wouldn't have thought of like
That's fine.
much of it, but the friends thing did interest me because obviously he's powerful, you know. But
do you think they're going to be potentially other Allomancers, or do you think it's just going to be like general helpers? Because obviously he's been going around to these plantations trying to recruit people and free the Ska and stuff like that. So do you think it's just like general Ska to help, or?
I think it can be a mix, but I don't think it's gonna be General Scott that he's like talking about. I think it's like people with like influence.
Okay.
Like not here's like what I'm trying to like say. Like, you know how he said he went to this place to get that medal that's supposedly gonna kill the Lord Ruler?
The 11th medal, yeah.
Yeah. So he got that like through connections and stuff, right?
So we technically get the full story of how he gets that in the one of the short stories in Arcanum Unbounded. But basically what he says in this book is that he got the medal up north while kind of like, because he's been gone for 3 years. So sometime during those, since he left the pits of Hassan. So he basically went to the pits, he snapped, became an Allomancer, left the pits, and then he was kind of just traveling around for a few years. Like learning how to use his powers. He apparently trained under a guy named Gemmel who comes up later. And some point during that point, he gets his 11th medal somewhere up north.
Somewhere up north.
Yeah. It's honestly not super important where he got it, like specifically. I feel like what it is more important than where he got it.
I don't see how you don't see that as important when he describes the area as like, you know, where they still like, you know, know about before the Lord Ruler.
Well, that part is interesting. I'm just saying, like, those people are more interesting than, like, the exact, like, oh, like, he found the 11th medal in this town.
Found it in this city.
Yeah.
But as I said, we do get the backstory to that in the short story later. So, called the 11th medal. It's kind of, it touches on like his him training with Gemmel and how he got the 11th medal. But anyways, we got off topic there. Yeah, so Doxson and Kelsier briefly mention a person named Vent who would apparently jump at their own heartbeat. Then Clubs returns with a young boy, and Vin notes that Kelsier seems pleased but not surprised to see Clubs back. Clubs mentions that he doesn't like to be around soothers and wanted to be away from Breeze when making his decision, even with Copper.
I agree. I don't think he needs to be around Breeze at all either. Breeze is mine.
So he does make a kind of nod to Copper here. They still don't really explain what it does, but he kind of mentions Copper. So Clubs then asks if the pits really drove Kelsier insane, which Kelsier just nods to, and then Clubs agrees to join them. He's like, oh, okay, you're insane? Great. Okay, I'll join. He also says that
I'm insane too.
He also says that he still expects them to fail, but that the Lord Ruler will get him sometime anyways, and at least this way he can spit in his face as he goes, which I respect that.
I love it. It's hilarious.
It's so good. So yeah, were you guys expecting Clubs to come back? Because I think there was a little bit of discussion.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I know Vin didn't. Vin expected him to be assassinated.
Nobody writes a book, introduces a person with a name, and then goes, nah, they ain't gonna be here.
Kind of vaguely describes their abilities, but doesn't give you the full details, and then they leave.
Yeah.
Exactly. Dark Jester, are you expecting Clubs to come back?
I was, but with enemy support.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you thought it was gonna be an Ahan situation. Yeah, no, he just brought his nephew with him instead.
I do remember you saying that, yeah.
Right. Yeah. His nephew doesn't say anything this time, but he brings his nephew with him. I think his nephew just brings him wine or something.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just his, like, slave, but, you know.
No, it's just his nephew. So Vin
Y'all
watches...
I was like, y'all don't treat your nephews and stuff like that?
No.
So Vin watches Clubs and the boy leave before she says that Kelsier expected Clubs to come back. He says he had hoped, then he says for Vin to let the crew back in and that he plans to go get some atium. Kelsier notes that Luthadel during the day seems hard, distinct, and oppressive, however by night it was a place for the desperate and foolhardy. A land of swirling mystery and strange creatures. And I believe he includes himself in those strange creatures.
Yeah, strange creatures.
He notes that he used to do this before a job in the old days and expects Mare to be standing next to him. Instead, Dox and Vin are behind him. He notes that they both seem anxious, but deal with that, whereas Kelsier had learned to feel more comfortable in the mists than during the day. So what do you think about the fact that Kelsier feels more comfortable now in the mists at night than during the day?
He's clearly lost his mind.
He's clearly a mist wraith.
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't like oppose to that because it would explain a lot.
Yeah, it's clearly a mist wraith. Whatever that is, you know.
It's like his biggest enemy, and Midnight's like, oh, if only they knew.
Yeah.
So he then thinks back on how he had once been the most infamous crew leader in Luthadel. Mare had been a Tinai, but he had been a half-breed with no powers, and Doxson had been a runaway plantation ska. Apparently he had taken a trap by the Lord Ruler to catch him previously, but now he has allomantic powers.
Allomantic.
Kelsier then hops down from the ledge and asks Doxson who he should try to steal from. Doxson suggests House Urbane and Teniert, as they hadn't been hit for their atium. Kelsier then asks who the strongest house that no one would dare strike is, which Doxson says is House Venture, as they have a standing force of 700 men plus 24 mistings, which I think this sounds like a lot of fucking guys.
That's a lot of money.
Yup.
Or boxings, I guess, in this.
Yeah, it's a lot of boxings.
mean, I'll be boxing them all for it.
After stating that they'll hit.
I was just wondering what boxing's look
What?
like. Because everyone always uses coins. I'm just like,
Well, they use
Paper money.
coins as well. I wonder if they're square coins.
that's what I was thinking. Like, everyone like usually uses the typical like currency looking things. So I'm just like, why is there no like stories that use a different type? It's always coin shapes.
Always circular shapes.
I googled it. I'm assuming this gets explained at some point, but it's not really anything spoilery. But apparently the name boxing comes from the picture on the back of the coin, which is of Kredikshaw, the Lord Ruler's palace, or the box in which he lives. Boxing can be used by Mistborn and coin shots for jumping and attacking. Yeah, so it's really just a normal coin with like a picture of Kredikshaw on the back. And just,
I want-
So it's a circular coin. It's
yeah,
not
it's
a,
yeah, it's a circular coin.
Man, he missed out on that. He could
I
have
know.
made it a fucking like tiny little box or something.
Could have been like little dice too.
Oh my god, that would have been awesome.
Alright, so after saying that they'll hit House Venture, he takes out his Mistborn cloak, which is a cloak made of hundreds of strips of fabric sewn together around the chest and I was gonna say shoulders, but with the rest left to shift with movement. Apparently all Mistborn wear them, and it's specifically designed to hide you in the mists. Generally, both guards and other Mistborn will leave you alone if they see you in one. I think Kelsier also was like, doesn't it suit me? And Doxson's like, oh god. Doxson then describes to Kelsier where the safe that Lord Venture apparently keeps his ATM stash in is, and also mentions haze killers, which we get a more detailed description of later. Kelsier then gets rid of... I decided not to bother asking what you thought haze killers were, because like they come up, get described pretty easily later. But Kelsier then gets rid of every last piece of metal on him, including taking off his shoes, except for a bag of coins and 3 vials of metal. He drinks one of them. He also has 2 glass daggers, which he puts into his sheath on his belt after checking them for nicks. So what do you think about Kelsier's preparations? He's got like glass daggers, make sure there's no metal on him.
Man, I feel like he needs some obsidian daggers.
Sorry, that made me think like that that would defeat the point if obsidian is one of the
Is it metal?
Yeah.
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 I mean,
But
I mean, if you had a dagger made of the metal that you're supposed to ingest, you just take a bite out of it, you know?
but then it's not a dagger, it's a snack.
I mean, it could also still be a dagger.
I don't know why, but the idea of like glass daggers really intrigued me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the way they avoid, I guess, having their weapons thrown around, as we'll talk about later.
Glass daggers.
So after saying goodbye, Kelsier throws a coin off the roof and then jumps off as well. He burns steel, and translucent blue lines spring into existence around him, visible to only his eyes. Each line leads from the center of his chest to a nearby source of metal. And it's
Hence why they're called Steel Inquisitors.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I'm only assuming, but...
So yeah, so basically the thinner the line, the smaller or farther away the metal is, and then the thicker the line, the like more large the metal source is. So Kelsier pushes against his coin, and he's thrown upwards into the air before pushing against a window clasp and being thrown sideways and onto the top of a building across the street. He runs across the roof and then burns his tin, causing him to see through the mists better and see Keep Venture in the distance. As Kelsier stands, leaving his tin burning, the mists swirl around him. They can sense allomancy. So what do you think it means that the mists can sense allomancy?
They're allomancers in disguise.
Because it doesn't say that he thinks they can or like anything. It says specifically they could
Yeah.
sense allomancy. That's like the specific sentence.
Yeah, maybe Mistracer. Maybe it's something with like the fact that when Mistborn or somebody that uses allomancy uses too much of it, and they turn into the mist.
What do you think, Darkness?
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards the miss right
Mm.
where I don't know, it's just,
I mean, kind of. What I think darkness might be talking about, but I could, with the way what darkness just said, I can kind of see another idea. Maybe it's not the mist that's actually detecting anything like that. Maybe it's the mist race in the mist, and you just can't see them. So like when he says they can sense it, he's talking about the mist race because they're in the mist, you know.
I see. So Kelsier then pushes off a metal chimney. Partway through his jump, he throws down a coin and pushes against it, causing it to sharply hit the ground before Kelsier is sent into a second arc and lands on a rooftop. He then thinks about He then thinks about how Gemmel, who he calls an old lunatic, had taught him steel pushing and iron pulling first. When you push on something, it's like you're throwing your weight against it, and you can't change how much you weigh. You're not some northern mystic. Don't pull on something that weighs less than you unless you want it to come flying at you, and don't push on something heavier than you unless you want it to get tossed in the other direction, are the exact words. So what did you think about the explanation of steel pushing and iron pulling? And also, again, for Mythic, because you read listen to the audiobook, anytime pushing or pulling is mentioned, they're capitalized.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
That is.
Yes. Also, in previous chapters, when Bree said he pushed on people's emotions, that was also a capitalized push.
Yeah, I assume. But, I mean, it is interesting to see, because I didn't pick up on that might be a thing, that at least 4 metals now have, one has push, one has pull. So,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Like, they're like polar opposite things of each other, which is pretty cool.
I think in that part I was more interested in the teacher.
In Gemmel?
Yeah, because he Kelsier said he didn't know another Mistborn, right? Or he hadn't met another Mistborn. So that just like highlights the fact he got taught by someone that was
Kel said that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I thought it was somebody else who said it.
It was either Kelsier or Doxson, I think, that said Vin likely wouldn't meet another Ska Mistborn other than Kelsier. I don't know if they...
Ska Mistborn.
Yeah, because they do say that the nobles have Mistborn.
Yeah.
Because they say that later it comes up that they would assume that Kelsier is a noble because he's a Mistborn.
Yeah, but he doesn't like nobles.
He doesn't, no.
Except for one.
Yeah, so that could mean that either Vin will never meet Gemmel, or Gemmel's dead, or maybe Gemmel was either just a steel or iron misting, or who knows?
Maybe, or maybe he was actually a noble, and the only noble that Kel likes.
Or he was a noble and
then Kelsier killed him.
Yeah, and then got replaced.
You won't find out till the short story what happens with Gemmel.
Oh.
But yeah, so then as Kelsier stands on the wooden roof, he notes that tin enhances all of his senses, so although the better eyesight and hearing is helpful, he doesn't like how he feels colder and can feel the wood grain under his feet. So what do you think about the fact that, like, you can't really, like, pick and choose stuff? Like, especially with tin, like, it's either, like...
Sounds good to me.
You have all of your senses enhanced, or you have none, and, like, same with pushing and pulling with, like, iron and steel. It's like, you either have to put, like, your full weight behind it to really get moving, and then you're, like, you can't really... It's hard to slow your momentum without pulling or pushing on something else. You're kind of just, like, throwing yourself at things.
I think that's cool. It's better to, like, that seems sort of, like, balanced compared to, you know, other stuff we've seen.
Yeah, each power is definitely, like, got its limitations and its, like, strengths. It's like, you've got this, but also, like, you could be putting yourself in, like, really bad danger, or, like, bothering yourself in some other way.
Here, have this, but also fuck you.
You're thinking it sounded cool, Mythic?
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
So Kelsier then pushes up another metal chimney, and partway through his... Did I do that already? I already did that. roof. So Kelsier then scans Keep Venture for a larger source of metal that he can use since he's too far to pull using smaller sources. He notes guards walking around with armor and weapons as Mistings who could pull or push on metal. Could push or pull on metal were too uncommon. Mistborn even more uncommon. So many lords thought it impractical to leave their guards defenseless to defend against such a small percentage of the population. Kelsier then knows that there is another way to deal with the Allomancers, and that Doxson had mentioned Lord Venture had a squad of haze killers. He then pulls on a strong blue line leading to the keep's roof that is likely lined with bronze or copper. As he pulls himself to the roof, he notes that it feels more like falling in the wrong direction than flying, which I would hate. Honestly, I would not want to be a steel or iron misting. Yeah. I hate the feeling of falling.
That sounds so cool. But
it sounds cool, but I would hate it.
Only in thought, yeah. Only in thought, because, like, I would be so afraid.
I feel like if you love roller coasters or skydiving, it would be great for you, but otherwise...
It's also crazy, because you would need both metals to move fluently, right?
I mean, only if you're doing it specifically, like...
I feel like pushing, like, it would be easier to do the kind of flying thing than pulling is. Unless you have a way to kind of, like, pad yourself before you hit something. But, like, pushing, I feel like you could easily push yourself and then, like, kind of tuck and roll onto something, because you, like, lose momentum the farther you get from the metal.
Yeah,
I feel like pushing. I can see pushing being better as a misting than pulling. At least in that terms. So as Kelsier gets closer to the roof, he notes that his weight has caused him to angle downwards slightly like an arrow does, and thus he's aiming a few dozen feet beneath the roof. He burns pewter and aims his feet first at the wall, even his enhanced muscles protesting, and then drops a coin to push against it while pulling on a metal part of the stained glass window. Once on the upper walkway of the keep, Kelsier encounters a startled guard. He pulls on the man's breastplate and takes out a glass dagger. He hits the man's chest with his feet and then using pewter-enhanced strength, slices the man's throat. As he walks away, he notes that the man is likely a lesser nobleman and thus the enemy. He also notes that if it was a Ska soldier enticed into betraying his people, Kelsier was even happier to kill him. So, what do you think about, like, Kelsier's thoughts here? Like, it's pretty intense.
Repeat the question.
I said, what do you think about Kelsier's thoughts here about how he's like, oh, if it's a nobleman, it's the enemy, and if it's a Ska soldier who had, like, betrayed his people, it's even worse, and I'm even happier he's dead.
That's that's something that can do more harm than anything. So I don't know. I feel like that sort of viewpoint is kind of like dangerous, especially during war times.
What do you think, Mythic?
I kind of agree. It's very dangerous.
He's very rage-filled.
Oh yeah.
So Kelsier then pushes off the... So yeah, he uses the dead man's breastplate to push off of and gets onto the roof and begins looking for the balcony Doxson had mentioned. He then notes that atium is the 10th and most powerful of the generally known allomantic metals, which I think you guys did think that it was going to be one of the allomantic metals.
I did.
Kelsier then thinks that not only does he want the atium, but also he wants to cause a commotion. So before we go further, what power do you think atium would have?
I mean, it could be a lot of different powers. I think one of them that I had on the list was the, like, being able to see things, like, in the future or whatever, like seer.
Do you have any ideas, Darkness?
I was just thinking because it like Mythic's idea would make a lot of sense because of how the Lord Ruler kept finding people, like, you know, doing stuff, right?
So you think you're, like, using atium to, like,
I feel like he's, if not a Mistborn, he's that like a very powerful, missing for just like that specific metal.
I thought they had said.
I don't think they have. I don't remember, because I'm pretty sure I would have been like, oh, he's this.
Just look at the end of, because they were talking about
Do
the
you
Lord War at
remember,
the end of
Missy?
chapter.
Because I don't remember any mention of like what he is.
So I thought when Vin was talking about him, they mentioned something. Sorry, I'm just like skimming through chapter 6.
Maybe it's a life prolonging metal.
I think maybe it prolongs his life because he is 1,000 years old.
Yeah. And he's like mining it, so. And it would make sense for the nobles to want to, trade it and stuff. But it's that precious because, time is money and all.
Need to find the answer if they mentioned it or not. What he is. Determined. I was sure I read it.
Wow. I thought you got the notes ready.
I did. Oh, there's so much talk of the Lord Ruler in this chapter. I'm like searching for the words Lord Ruler and it's not helpful.
I shall take a nap.
I am determined to find this.
Vin, if you are watching this, please excuse her. She's like hyper focused.
Hyper focused.
Talking about Lord Renoir, that's fine.
Well, clearly there's something big going on there, because Mythic, take over.
I'll get to the. Let me read to the next question, and then I'll keep looking while you guys answer the next question. So once Kelsier finds the balcony, he drops between two guards. I liked this part. Between the two guards that are on it, chatting, and pushes against both of them, causing him to stay centered and them to get thrown off the balcony and scream as they fall. But, like, he basically is able to not fly off himself because he's between the two men. He then goes into the keep, allowing the mist to creep in as well. He wanders through, knowing the second room is a conservatory with plants other than brown, which are a rarity, and they're mostly white, ruddy, or yellow. So yeah, so plants in this world are basically only brown. There's no green anywhere. But apparently there's some very rare plants that are not brown. They're basically just shades of brownish, but they're less brown. And then he goes into the third room, that is lit, so he extinguishes his tin and knows it to be a study, but no one is inside. He ignores the safe and finds a source of metal behind a mural on the wall, knowing that there is always another secret. He doesn't bother trying to open the wall, instead just using a combination of iron and pewter until he's able to get the safe to yank out of the wall completely. So what are your thoughts on how Kelsier uses his power to get the safe?
Ingenious. Like, I didn't even think about it while I was listening to it.
Yeah, he's like, it's either gonna be my legs that give out or the wall.
Well, I tried figuring out if he burned two metals at once.
I mean, he kind of did. He said he had kept tin burning or
No,
something.
pewter. He kept pewter burning while...
Yeah, he kept pewter burning while
Yeah,
using
so-
others. So
yeah,
he's
so he
been
was
using them
burning-
all.
So yeah, you can use like
multiple. Yes.
that's crazy.
I believe he was also using his tin while using his steel earlier to search for a way up.
I wonder what happens if you burn all the metals at the same time. Just combustion.
I'm not sure using steel and iron at the same time would do much, because you're basically just like pushing and pulling at the same time on metal, so it's just staying where it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wouldn't that be the same thing for the emotion ones too?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's true for writing and soothing. Although there's some stuff you could do with writing and soothing that I feel like would be you do differently if you use them at the same time.
I didn't know.
I just
I didn't
can't
know it's
explain
called
it.
writing.
Fuck.
I mean,
Fuck.
Yeah.
I gave that away.
yeah, he gave it away. But
God
I
damn
mean,
it.
the difference between somebody, I mean, anger, you know, where it has stated that they're making him angry, but
I know it's called writing. That's crazy.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't fucking know what you're
Writing,
talking
but-
about. What's that? What did you
Let me-
say? What?
What?
Anyways, two guards then show up, and Kelsier takes a sword from one by pulling on it and stepping to the side to not get hit by it. The guard shouts Mistborn and then pulls out a dagger, which Kelsier pushes from his hand before beheading him. Also, I don't know why you'd pull out a dagger after your sword gets pulled away from you. That seems stupid to me.
yeah, you know, they're not all that smart.
So he gets beheaded, and then the second man unties his breastplate, because he's like, oh shit, this guy can use metal. And Kelsier then pushes on the sword, causing it to go straight into the second guard's chest. He's like, oh, you're unarmored now, let me just stab you. And Kelsier feels anger and knows that anyone who supports the final empire has forfeited their right to live. So again, he's being a bit brutal. Kelsier then burns pewter and begins to slowly carry the safe back towards the balcony. He gets halfway through the conservatory before the Haze Killers show up. The Haze Killers wear loose gray robes and carry shields and dueling canes. They were trained to fight Mistings and Mistborn and wouldn't have a speck of metal on them. So what do you think about Haze Killers?
Almost like they're going on a riot. Huh?
Now you're gonna
I'm
be
not-
all on that, aren't you?
I'm not letting that go. I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
Like specifically, I thought they were cool, but also low key weak. Cause
I feel like it's only because they were fighting the person they're fighting. Otherwise, they probably would have done really well.
I
That's
think also
true.
they do explain that Mistborn are super rare even among the nobles. So
Yeah.
I think they're more probably better against just Mistings, and then you generally
Yeah.
want like Mistings or other Mistborn to fight a Mistborn.
Yeah, I mean, he states that he has to finish them off before the Elements show up.
Yeah,
so
he says that they're likely here to like
obviously, yeah.
to
He
wait
obviously
for the
has like
Elements.
yeah, he obviously has an understanding that they're not like the greatest, but they're definitely not some pushovers.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to their weak. No,
That's fine. You can stick to whatever you want until they kill your favorite character.
I'm not gonna have a favorite one.
Okay.
Darkness refuses to have favorite characters anymore.
I already have a favorite character.
I
Who's
know
your
you
favorite
do,
character?
and you're gonna die.
You're never gonna find out. I'm
I
never
want to
gonna
know
say-
who it is.
No, that's
I mean,
not.
we'll know. we'll know when they die. So
Yeah, that's true. It'll be a good
Yes.
surprise.
yeah, as soon as they die, we'll understand that they were probably
I
his
feel like
favorite.
everyone in
because
this fucking book is gonna
every
die.
time they die, every time they
Ev-
die,
Well, we got 3 books, so they might not die this book.
yeah, they might die in like the 3rd book or the 2nd.
So the fight begins with Kelsier trying to attack with glass daggers. He then throws coins, but the Haze Killers hold up their wooden shields to deflect them. He knows that the Haze Killers will try to get him quickly or stall him in hopes of guards waking up Mistborn, because he says that they know that they can't get a Mistborn in a long fight. So Kelsier then notes that pewter burns the fastest of the 8 basic elemental metals, and he's starting to run low. So not all of the metals burn at the same rate, apparently. So pewter he'll run out of faster than others, apparently.
Which makes sense, because IRL, that also is a thing.
So Kelsier uses the safe to flip over the attackers, which I think is pretty cool. He does a graceful gymnast flip, is what I imagine, over the Haze Killers, and uses pewter to stop a dueling cane from breaking his arm. He's able to stab one of the Haze Killers and also uses coins to push one across the room and out a window, allowing mist to creep in as the glass shatters. Then one of the Haze Killers hits him in the side, causing him to fall and become dizzy. He uses tin to clear his head, although he feels the pain more, and pulls on a paperweight in the study, which they also call an ingot. They switch between ingot and the thing and the paperweight. It's a little confusing to me. And then he pushes it into the shoulder of one of the Haze Killers. After dodging a hit, he pulls the ingot back and it hits another Haze Killer in the head. Kelsier then pushes the ingot away, stops the Haze Killer's dueling cane with his pewter-enhanced strength, and then pulls the ingot back and spins them around so the ingot hits the Haze Killer.
First off, this man has literally smacked the shit out of these people with a single thing.
He's spinning his paperweight around and smashing them in the heads.
Oh my god. And then he's just and then this dude's I finally get a hit. And it's oh, well, that did nothing, because he just... Oh god.
He's got pewter and tin. He's gonna stay conscious.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yep. So, where was so the ingot hits the Haze Killer. He continues until only one Haze Killer is left, who eventually just runs away. However, another window breaks as the Mystics arrive. Coins are shot at him, and Kelsier deflects them, spraying the room with coins. Thugs, men who can burn pewter like ham, also come charging, and Kelsier decides it's time to go. He jumps out one of the broken windows and pulls on the safe, dropping against the side of the keep like he's on a tether. The safe slowly begins to slide towards the window. What did you think about the whole fight scene? How fighting is with Mystics and Mistborn?
That's a waste of coins.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly, I'm assuming they're using the smallest coins, basically pennies, is what I would assume. They're chucking pennies around the room.
Still a waste of pennies. God.
For real, no, because
copper's a metal.
Ever since he started flying and shit, I was like, why are they wasting so many fucking coins?
Right? God damn. I thought coins were supposed to be valuable or something.
Well, I mean, probably to House Venture, they're pretty fucking chump change.
I mean, still, you can't stay wealthy if you keep throwing your wealth away.
I feel like it'd be a millionaire throwing a bunch of quarters around at people. They are meaningless.
Let's go talk to a couple millionaires. I bet you they'll tell you otherwise. I bet you they tell you they don't throw quarters around.
Every cent counts.
Yeah.
So the safe then eventually falls, and Kelsier pushes off the wall so he's not hit by it, because you don't want to be hit in the face by a safe falling. And then...
Probably not the best idea.
No. And then he pushes the safe to the ground and lands beside it. The safe breaks when it hits the ground, and he pries it open, getting a small pouch of gemstones, a couple 10,000 boxing letters of credit, and at the very back, a small pouch of atium, which is described as dark, bead-like bits of metal. He then notices the Haze Killer he had sent out the window earlier.
Perfect to swallow.
Yeah. There's the Haze Killer's mangled body on the ground next to him. And he pulls his coin pouch from the guy's body.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah. And as he dashes off, using Peter to keep from collapsing from his wounds, he notes that even if he hadn't gotten the ATM, a group of dead noblemen was a successful day. So, yeah. Any more thoughts on Kelsier's very anti-nobleman, very angry stance?
Sounds about right.
To be fair,
Legit.
they killed his like.
Wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Murder the man. Murder them all.
I would have burnt down the kingdom too. Don't even.
Or at least tried, right?
So yeah, that was chapter 5, and then we're on to chapter 6, which we get our second epigraph, which is, I never wanted this, true, but somebody has to stop the deepness, and apparently Terrace is the only place this can be done. On this fact, however, I don't have to take the word of the philosophers. I can feel our goal now, can sense it, though the others cannot. It pulses in my mind, far off in the mountains. So what do you think this pulsing is?
It's metal. Wasn't it stated that he was like the first Allomancer or something?
I think so. I don't remember.
Whatever, the Lord Ruler or whatever that like.
Why is he still alive?
Because he's been eating this atium. Or whatever other metal might keep your life.
He says he's a god, that's why.
You think they could inject liquid metal inside them?
Don't know.
Well, okay, if we're going on the idea that we had with the Steel Inquisitors and their nails, possibly, yeah. I feel like if it's in their body, it's usable. But I'd highly recommend that probably not be a good idea, because you injected yourself with the metal and then burnt it, like, it's gonna take up stuff, like your arteries or something.
Yeah, you're gonna create like air pockets or something. Like, what's gonna happen to your
Yeah.
veins if you inject metal into your veins and then burn it?
I mean, what's gonna happen to Steel Inquisitors with the nails in their eyes if they burn the nails?
I mean, it'd just be the
Probably
same
not
as a normal hole in you. I feel like just having issues in your veins is a bigger issue.
I mean,
You think
I feel like an
rod-
open wound is a pretty bad thing.
I don't know. They're fine. They're fine.
I mean, they're cool as shit. So.
I wonder if they cry.
Yeah, they cry iron.
I don't know if they have tear ducts anymore. It depends if the spikes have gotten rid of their tear ducts.
Honestly, the only time they cry is if the steel spikes melt.
Yeah, only in extreme heat do they cry.
Yeah, makes sense.
So for this chapter, we have Vin's point of view. She wakes up feeling uncomfortable, and notes it's because she's in an empty room and uncomfortable bed. She says that previously she had always been forced to fight for privacy, and being given it so easily seemed to devalue the moments she has spent relishing her solitude in the past.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So
Makes sense.
So last night after Kelsier had gone, Dachshund had brought her to Clubs' shop for the night. Clubs had quickly brought them to the guest rooms as it was late. However, Vin had explored the place once she was sure everyone else was asleep. The main floor had a showroom and workshop, but the second floor was a long hallway of guest rooms. She hadn't checked for trapdoors or secret rooms as she didn't want to wake anyone, but she assumed there would be some. So what do you think about Vin's like kind of exploration time?
She's probably accidentally using one of those metals she drank.
I think she's like accidentally
get
using,
killed.
like, tin or something.
She's gonna die as soon as she, explores more.
I see.
Nah, but like, I mean, I don't know. I find her thought process the most interesting part.
On the idea of her dying, using a little bit of meta knowledge here, all right, from what we've heard from Midnight already, she can't die, because apparently there are pictures of her being a badass that we don't get to see yet, and I want to see them.
Which means she's gonna be the main character of the next one.
Awesome.
I'm pretty sure, considering the whole back of the book is about Vin, and I kind of told you that Vin's the main character. Yeah, Vin is the main character.
Yeah, but main characters can die, so.
It's true. There could be a different main character for the second book, but Vin's definitely the main character of this book.
You sure?
Yes, Vin is the main character.
Nah, Breeze is the main character.
I wish Breeze was the main character.
I thought it was Club.
You want Clubs to be the main character?
Because Clubs is his favorite, and that's when Clubs is gonna die. Yep.
I wish Marsh was the main character.
I told you, I'm gonna like every single person I totally like, just so they can die.
I see. So Vin peeks out of her room and notes some men, apprentice carpenters, going downstairs to work. She knows Clubs must be a master carpenter, which would give him some level of freedom as a ska that most would envy, and thinks the only reason he'd get involved in the underworld would be because he's a misting. Vin also notes that Clubs was called a smoker, and that Kelsier, as a powerful man, would not likely share much with her to keep her attached to him, so she'd have to figure it out herself. Do you think Vin is right about this, or do you think Kelsier will actually pretty quickly tell her about her powers?
I think Kelsier keeps everyone in the shadows.
Yep, I agree.
I think he's not telling anyone anything. Only what is beneficial at that moment. Yeah. It's if she needs to learn something, she's gonna learn it when he feels like she needs it.
So do you think that he's holding it over her head like she thinks just to be powerful, or just because he's kind of that's just his personality more so?
I think it's just that is who he is now.
It's not necessarily just to hold it over his head, it's just because he's like, you don't need to know right now. I've got my secrets.
Yeah. Because to be fair, for someone who was seen as one of the greatest, whatever they're called, the leaders or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would have to have some sort of defense mechanism like that.
Yeah, he plays himself off as very kind of lighthearted, but we've obviously seen that he can be very angry and serious, and obviously he's very smart to have gotten away with such jobs and be so important, especially considering he hadn't been a Misting or Mistborn previously.
Okay, we get it. You have a little crush.
I really don't.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of people really love Kelsier. I'm not always the biggest fan of Kelsier. I feel like he's a little. We get into it later in the book, but especially his anger stuff. I'm just I don't know. I feel like he's too brash.
I almost said who I like, so I'm just not even gonna say anything anymore.
Well, when we get to the whole group later,
he likes Kelsier. He likes the smoker. He likes.
I want Kelsier to die. I genuinely do. I really do. I don't know. I just feel like it would be satisfying to me.
Okay.
I agree. I kind of want Kelsier to die too, but I want him to die as a badass. He dies fighting the Lord Ruler, and then the whole time he gets to go see his wife. The Lord Ruler's dead. Everybody wins.
No, you know what I want? I want him to get thrown back in the pits.
Oh shit! Get thrown back in the pits? Do you think the pits could hold him? He escaped once already.
They're gonna have to hold him now.
Oh my gosh. Alright.
I want to see how he react to that. I think he would just go batshit crazy.
I feel like he'd have a mental breakdown. You guys don't know what's like at the pits. God damn. So Doxon then walks by, saying Vin should get ready and that there was a bath waiting for her. He also notes that they'll get her some changes of clothing. Vin notes that the men here are very observant and eventually goes down to the bathroom, surprised to see a bath was actually drawn for her. She also notes that the bath smells like a noblewoman's and that these men act more like nobles than ska. So what do you think about the fact that they act more like nobles? Do you think this is a good thing, a bad thing, neutral?
I think it's a good thing considering they're trying to, kind of overthrow everything. So, they would be seen as quote unquote nobles if they do succeed. Might as well play the part.
Will they though? The whole thing's gonna break.
I know they're gonna die.
Yeah, they say they're gonna. They claim that they're gonna just fucking book it once they get their ATM. They're like, nah, we don't trust that you're gonna stay alive and keep the place. We're out of there. I'm assuming I'm assuming the plan is they're gonna go wherever
those.
those more free skas are, up in the north.
I mean, like I said, I think, in all honesty, and it's very dark to think about it, but I think Kelsier is doing this as a suicide mission simply for the fact that he wants to kill them, knows it's practically impossible, but if he dies, he has to see his wife again. Oh, come on.
This one? Also, what do you think about the fact that they act like noblemen, but Kelsier hates noblemen?
I thought that funny.
It's a little ironic, right?
And I'm back. Sorry about that.
What happened?
My mic? No, I don't know why.
Oh, weird.
Huh. Suddenly I'm really hungry.
Yeah, no, I've been eating crackers this whole time. It's 11 o'clock at night for me. I'm eating crackers.
Anyway, so after her bath, Finn notes that she smells like a noblewoman. She feels worried that it will cause her to stand out from other ska, and that if she was made to take baths regularly, she would have to ask for them not to be perfumed. So yeah, but Finn just apparently like never bathes.
Whoa. Is this the second book we've read where the woman is complaining about perfumed baths?
Yes.
Wow.
Although at least she's not being bathed. I think Siri's issue was more that she was being bathed by other people.
Yeah, in perfume water.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Serena never beat.
I'm pretty sure Serena bathed at some point. We just didn't
Nah,
get to
no.
see her bathe.
It literally did not happen.
Wait, we've got to see any of them bathe? I've been reading all of this. Where are y'all seeing these things?
Why do you think she never was able to get married until?
Anyways.
Yeah, probably because she smelled like shit, but you know.
So Vin then goes to the kitchen and sees ska women of varying ages working to prepare bay wraps. None of them smelled perfumed, but they were cleaner and more well-groomed than normal ska. This causes her to notice how clean everything is in the place, and she hadn't been able to see that at night. Vin then thinks of herself compared to the women. She has short, ragged, boyish cut that had been done by one of the crew members, and she had always been made to look like a thief first and girl second. She feels that she looks awkward as she smells perfumed but looks ragged like before. Being awkward would also make her stand out. So her whole thing is she's like, I don't want to like stand out. She doesn't really know where she fits in now.
The thing is, this made me. I didn't realize like this, right? Like I read over this, I was like, okay, this is what type of person she is, right?
Mhm.
But this makes me wonder how the plans will go with what Kelsier wants her to do. You know?
Mm-hmm. Well, because the thing is,
Like, that's-
we don't know if like Vin, like this kind of like the way she is and looks has more been forced on her, so that she's not been like she doesn't stand out on the streets, and so she doesn't get like raped by the other crew members. So like I don't know if she's really has her own style. So we don't know. She could be tomboyish like she looks. She could be girly. She could be somewhere in between. I don't think even Vin knows.
I think regardless of like the style that's been forced upon her, it's still like what she's used to, and it's her style.
Mm.
So like yeah, there's stuff that she might like that we don't know about yet, but she's already showing signs of like, nah, I don't want this shit.
Yeah. She's like, I don't want to
So-
stand out from normal ska. Like, I don't like the attention on me. I don't want to be perfumed and have people looking at me.
Yeah, the plan is to do exactly that.
Yeah, we'll get
So-
to that. So the back kitchen door suddenly slams open, and Vin quickly puts her back to a wall and peeks into the kitchen. Ham walks in, dropping his packs, and asks which room is his. One of the apprentices says they'll have to ask Master Cladent. So, do you think Cladent is Clubs' real name, or is Clubs the real name? Or is neither?
Either.
Didn't say that fucking name right.
Did I not say Cladent?
I can't see it.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't. Why would they give out their real name in general?
Well, I mean, the only reason
Well,
I
he
say
is like an
no
actual like
because-
ska master carpenter. Sorry.
The only reason I say no is because he was so adamant and like secure about not wanting to be in the same room as Breeze that it feels like he's very what's the word? Focused. Yeah, weary, but focused on like keeping a certain image and not allowing others to, learn things about him or force him to do other things he wouldn't normally do. So I feel like neither of the names are his true name. I feel like he's gonna have an actual name eventually.
That makes sense. Also, I think that one dude has the right idea where he has like a shit ton of aliases.
Yeah, I agree. Breeze definitely has a fucking awesome.
Considering they
fucking
both start
barge.
with CL, I'm assuming his real name is probably something in between. He probably uses Cledent as like a
Yeah,
this is my
probably like-
fancy like work name
Probably-
because nobles come to me, and Clubs is like my street name for the underground stuff.
Yeah, it's probably some real fucking stupid like Clive.
Or Clarence.
I swear.
Clarence, yeah. Or Clay.
Because again, just because he's a mystic, we know that he's half noble, just like the others. So maybe his whatever parent. I think generally it sounds like your mom's the most likely to be the ska.
Yeah, because they obviously like they're raping people.
Yeah, so maybe his mom was like, "Oh yes, I got with a nobleman. Let me give you a noble-ish name.
Yeah,
Live
Clarence.
up to it." Clarence.
No, that is one of. I can't even.
Oh, I thought you were a girl, so I named you Clementine.
Wait, what if he did get like a feminine name and he's just like, fuck this shit?
Claire, Clarice,
Oh my god.
Claire.
Clarice,
Claire.
Exactly. Klondike bar. I mean,
I want one.
So Ham then glances at Vin and says she doesn't have to hide from him, and says it pays to live near the smoker. Which is why he's in the
He definitely needs to hide from it. Definitely.
He also asks where Dox and Kel are, to which Vin replies with exactly where they are. She also thinks about how she peeked through Doxon's keyhole to see him sitting at his desk earlier. Ham asks if she always keeps track of where everyone is, which Vin says she does, and then Ham calls her an odd kid. So what do you think about Vin knowing exactly where everyone is at all times?
Sounds like a very intelligent person.
I think
Intelligent
she's very paranoid. I think what they're constantly trying to get across is that she's a very, very paranoid person because of how she was brought up.
I mean, she's been trained well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but
Extremely paranoid.
see, you should learn tonight.
Wow. Why do I need to be paranoid? What are you trying to say?
Are you looking at our windows again?
That's Kranos who does
It's on your wall.
that. Yeah, Darkness is the one in the walls. Kranos looks in the windows. Anyway, so the scent of the bay
Yeah, no,
rats.
I see Kranos all the time out here.
So the son of the Bay Rat entices Vin, and trying to look confident, she picks up two of them. She notes that she's an important person now and wonders with discomfort if they know that she's a Mistborn. Some of the women nod to her, so she picks up a third Bay Rat and then hurries back to her room. Although it's more food than she can eat, she can save some of the flatbread for later. And then later in the day, there's a knock on her door, and the boy that had been with Clubs previously was there. You can really hear that chip bag or cracker bag. So there was a knock.
Alright.
Yeah, it's okay. So there was a knock on her door, and the boy that had been with Clubs previously was there. He's thin, tall, and awkward looking. He also looks to be about 14 years old. When Vin asks what he wants, he says she's wanted and ups in the where of the doing, with Master jumps to the third floor. He then runs off, and Vin is extremely confused. So, what were your first thoughts on this guy, who we later learn is named Lestiborns?
Well, I thought he was coming down here to confess his love to Vin, but I was like, oh shit, awkward little boy,
Lestiborns. How did you feel about him and his way of speaking.
I'm not a mean person, you know. I think his way of speaking is unique.
I'll be honest, I really don't like him. He's like my least favorite character.
I like him, but I don't like the way he speaks in general. So.
Fucking street slang. I'm just like, I want to strangle him. Oh my god.
What do you mean? It's like so sophisticated. He could definitely pass as a noble.
Oh gosh. What were your first thoughts on him, Mythic, besides the fact that he wanted to confess to her?
Mouthful.
Probably.
That's a big mouthful.
You there, Mythic? It's disappeared into the abyss. There, Mythic? Oh. I hear myself.
Hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That was my only thoughts on this small child, was that he wanted to confess his love to Vin. Other than that, I had no idea who he was. Didn't really care until whatever Clarence said. Yeah, until Clarence said until Clarence stated that he was a cousin or whatever the fuck it was. I was like, oh,
it's his
cool.
nephew.
Maybe that's it. That's a nephew. I was like, oh, that's cool. All right.
Yeah,
Still don't care about this kid.
Clubs is quite an old man. They're not cousins.
I mean, hey, you know.
Unless.
Yeah.
So Vin then follows him upstairs to a well-decorated room where the crew is all sitting. And Kelsier is standing near a charcoal writing board. Breeze and Kelsier were speaking, and Breeze had apparently arrived earlier, making the apprentices carry all of his things, disguised as wood pieces inside. Vin glances around the room as Kelsier tells her to come in, and then reluctantly goes to sit on a chair. There is also one empty chair, but Kelsier doesn't explain who it's for and just starts the meeting. Kelsier says that
We all know who it's for later.
Yeah. Kelsier says that now that they have the framework for the plan, they need to discuss ideas on how best to execute it. So Ham states that their main problem is the garrison. Breeze then mentions making chaos in Luthadel, and Doxson chimes in regarding great houses having allomancers. Clubs brings up the Ministry and the Steel Inquisitors, and then Ham brings up making sure to secure the ATM so that no one else takes it. Breeze also brings up gathering the army, and Doxson mentions training them. Kelsier finally mentions the Lord Ruler and how they at least need to get him out of the city. Yeden then makes a comment that they're insane, and Kelsier writes Yeden's bad attitude is also one of their issues. So what do you think about all of these problems that they have to overcome?
What problems?
I feel like it'll be fine.
It's gonna be fine. No big deal.
Yeah, they got this.
Just gonna overthrow a city, then make the capital city with like an immortal god. We don't know he's immortal. He's like lived 1,000 years. Don't worry about him. So Finn feels uncomfortable, wondering how Kelsier can even think of resisting the Lord Ruler. He ruled the whole world, was their creator, protector, and punisher. He had saved them from the deepness and punished them for their lack of faith. She wasn't particularly religious, but she knew the legends. Finn swears by the Lord Ruler as she realizes they're serious, and Kelsier tells her to never do that as it makes the Lord Ruler her god. So what do you think about these mentions of the Lord Ruler?
But isn't he her god? We've already established that.
I don't know. Kelsier says not to refer to him as god, obviously.
Yeah, but then doesn't that make Kelsier like pretending to be a god? Trying to tell people what to do?
I think Kelsier's more like a cult leader.
Yes.
He's more like a cult leader. What do you think about the mentions of the Lord Ruler Darkness?
He's my favorite character. Yeah, totally. You know.
Yeah, the Lord Ruler's your favorite?
Yeah.
I feel like all of our misconceptions are misguided about the Lord.
You think he's actually not a terrible person?
I think he's a good guy. Kind of
Hey,
like
you know, I was-
Susabran was said to be such a bad and evil person. Yet
I don't think Kelsey's a good.
boy.
I don't think Kelsey's a good person.
You think Kelsier's a bad guy?
You think you think Kel's gonna be like Den?
I think he's gonna be more like. What's his name?
Blue Fingers?
Olaf?
Oh, Dilaf?
Yeah. I think he's gonna be more like that. He shows his demon side at the end of the book and slaughters everyone.
Interesting.
But yes. The Lord Ruler, right? Greatest I am.
So Kelsier then says to start talking about how they can break the city. It is agreed that they can't rely on the general populace of Ska to rise up, as the rebellion has been trying to do this for 1,000 years. A disaster like a fire is also a no-go. Kelsier suggests turning the great houses against each other, and that them fighting each other would deplete their resources and easily create the chaos Yeda needs to take over. Reese mentions liking getting people to do the work for him, and Han tries to start a philosophical conversation about the meaning of life, but Breeze and Kelsier stop him. So I know last time, I think it might have been Mythic, who said that like Ham was just like basically a thug, as like the pewter name kind of gives him, but they kind of imply it here. But yeah, Ham's really big into all these like deep philosophical conversations, and I love it. What do you think about it?
Poetry, right, Darkness?
No. Just no.
Yeah, it's like poetry in motion.
Every time I see the name Hammers, I can't help but just think of like
Food.
the food. Yeah, like just fucking ham, like.
I don't know if they mentioned, but it's not really a spoiler, but technically he goes by Hammond.
You mean like Riot wasn't a spoiler?
Right, it was a little bit. Kind of. But like his name is technically Hammond. So like how Dox is short for Dachshund, Ham is short for Hammond.
And then Club is short for Claire.
Apparently. But yeah, so the coolest army is then briefly mentioned, which we still don't really get any information on. But Kelsier says that they're located far enough away. Kelsier then moves on to how to deal with the garrison. They talk about where to keep the rebellion, which Dawson suggests the caves up north. Yedin is shocked that they know about the Argwa caves, and Kelsier says even the Lord Ruler knows of them, but hasn't bothered dealing with them. Yedin mentions they have about 300 people, including women and children, and then Kelsier says the caves could likely hold up to 10,000. Ham mentions that an army that size could likely hold Luthadel's walls. So what do you think about the fact that these caves are known to people, especially the Lord Ruler?
That if he's a bad guy, then they should be already massacred, right?
Well, I think Kelsier says that like the Lord Ruler doesn't consider the rebellion a threat, so he's just like kind of put it off. I think they also mentioned later that like cave fights are really annoying.
I doubt somebody who goes as far like to like have people patrolling the streets and shit like that for like any sort of like use of metal and like magic and stuff like that or whatever wouldn't take a resistance as like an opposing force that like matters. Like I mean, like I'm pretty sure if like if that were the case, he would like see it as a big problem. It's people like facing against him regardless of how big they are.
They've also apparently had fights in the past with the rebellion. I think Yedin mentions either in these chapters or in previous chapters that like the rebellions like tried to like rise up before and then they get taken out. Which is probably why there's only like 300 of them. So like, they've kind of risen up and been killed off and risen up and been killed off like many times over the 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Lord Ruler's probably like, they're still fucking around. It's fine. They're not very big at the moment. Let's just leave them. It's such a nuisance. But yeah, so they are still struggling to figure out what to do with the garrison, though, and Kelsier asks Vin for her opinion. After some prodding, she says she wouldn't fight a larger enemy because you'd be too hurt to deal with anyone else afterwards, even if you had one. She then suggests trying to get the garrison to leave the city, as generally she would try to distract a larger enemy and then get away. The group then discusses how to get the garrison out of the city, and that a disturbance in a nearby city wouldn't be enough for the garrison to leave. Finn then asks how far the pits of Hassan are from Luthadel. Breeze laughs, saying it's devious and the nobility don't know the pits produce the ATMs the Lord Ruler couldn't make much of a fuss, which means no coal loss. Ham also mentions that the garrison wouldn't get back in time to stop the rebellion from invading. So do you agree that this plan to attack the pits of Hassan is the best way to get the garrison out of Luthadel?
The plan to attack what?
The pits of Hassan.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so when they were like looking for an idea, I was like the pits. As soon as they were looking for it, I was
Then
like,
we're on the same
okay.
page.
Yeah, I was like, why wouldn't they not like think about attacking a source that he cares about? It made no sense to me, but I think that's where it's gonna go wrong. What if Finn just gets trapped in there? Oh,
and,
like,
and then she goes crazy and becomes an amazing Malamancer, and then there's no need for Kelly.
You mean Kelsier?
Yep, Kel, yeah.
But yeah, no, her and Lestivorn get together, and then Lestivorn gets killed, just like Mare got killed, and then she goes crazy. Perfect, right?
Perfection.
oh no! What if it's backwards?
Oh, if Finn dies and then Lestivorn goes crazy.
Yeah.
Oh god, Lestivorn is new main character for book 2.
You would hate that.
Just cry. I mean, I already know what happens.
You would have hated that.
Yeah. So they then frantically begin making plans, Doxson writing in a notebook as well. Yeden asks how they'll get Scott to the caves, though since Scott aren't allowed to wander freely. Kelsier states he has someone who can run canal boats to the north. Yeden then brings them back to the conversation regarding how to get 10,000 men to join them. Kelsier replies that he's relying on Breeze to force them up a good selection of recruits, which Breeze retorts that he doesn't like the word force and prefers the word encourage. It's then mentioned that they have a year for this, and Breeze says it'll be a challenge with a smile. Kelsier says that he has weapons under control, and asks Ham if he has people who can train their new recruits. Ham says he has people who helped the Lord Ruler previously, which Yeden calls traitors. Kelsier mentions that he would prefer men who are bitter about what they were forced to do for food and coin. So do you think they'll be able to trust the men that Han gets to train their men?
No, not at all. But then again, you can't trust anybody, so.
You got a page from Vince's book. I don't think that'll go wrong. I think some bigger stuff will go wrong, rather than that, like small portion.
So the conversation then goes back to weapons, and Kelsier mentions getting weapons from a sympathetic nobleman. He says the nobleman is named Lord Renoir, and he's currently staying in Felice. Currently, Lord Renoir is
Feliz Navidad.
Yes. Currently, Lord Renoir is trying to elevate his status by shipping fine weaponry up to the north. Everyone seems quite confused and quiet for a moment because fucking Kelsier hates noblemen, before Breeze bursts out laughing and says Kelsier had the nobleman killed and replaced. Which, yeah, obviously. He's not gonna fucking work for the nobleman. So Yeden gets a bit nervous, and Kelsier says Yeden can stop the deal at any time, but that if they continue, they have to do things the crew's way. And Yeden eventually agrees to continue. The conversation then turns to how Kelsier made himself known the other night to start moving towards the House War, as it's agreed that the nobles don't use their Mistborn against each other, and it's very unlikely for a Scot to be a Mistborn, so they wouldn't assume someone outside did it. Straff Venture had also made out that 3 Mistborn had been going to assassinate him personally that night, which, damn, you're full of yourself. Just like, oh yes, there was 3 of them, that's why they took out all of my Haze killers. Definitely there to assassinate me and not just steal from me.
You could say he was rioting from the aftermath.
Yeah, 100%. Could definitely say that.
So next they move on to having someone be a spy at the noble functions. Yedin asks why Lord Renoir can't do it, and Kelsier says he can't go near an Inquisitor. Bree seems to understand as he says Kelsier got one of those. Yedin is confused, and Bree says that the less he knows, the more comfortable he'll be. So what or who do you think is impersonating Lord Renoir? Why do you think that person can't go near an Inquisitor?
It's a, what's it called? It's a,
Mystery.
no, it's a,
The Colas?
what is it called?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I was from the first book.
What? Oh, Lifeless?
There you go. It's just a robot, lifeless, you know.
What do you
Right.
think it is, Mythic?
Well, that sounds like a really good plan. That sounds like a really good idea. But lifeless.
No, but
Honestly-
actually,
Honestly, I just think it's like a Mistwraith or
yeah,
like
I didn't
something
think
that they would notice.
it didn't like pop into my head. Oh yeah, it could be a mystery. The fact that there was mentions of like, I'm thinking like, no, right? Am I hallucinating? Maybe I'm going crazy.
I'm assuming what you're talking about is in the prologue. The Ska in the plantation say that you can't go out in the mist because the mist race will steal your face.
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
So they believe that the mist race can like impersonate people basically to like lure you out into the mist as well. Because they're like, oh, don't open the door back for the girl that he took because she could be a mist wraith in disguise, and then you're gonna die.
Yeah.
So Kelsier then says he wants Dockson to be the one acting as Lord Renoir's heir, but Dockson says he can't because he's been spotted and will easily be caught out. He even says that the Lord Ruler had even seen him personally. Which, goddamn, I don't know if I'd want to be that close to him. As like someone in disguise as a nobleman. Clubs and Yen
I mean,
are...
it kind of proves if he's right, if he actually was that close to the Lord Ruler, that the Lord Ruler can't really tell.
Yeah, he does say that the Lord Ruler though has like perfect memory though, so like he'll if he's seen again, like he'll know.
Perfect memory.
That your new theory for a medal?
No.
I mean, kind of, yeah.
So Clubs and Yedin are out, as is Breeze, as he has too many aliases already. Ham is also passed over, and then they look at Club's nephew, Lestibornes. Kelsier mentions that Lestibornes speaks in Eastern street slang, and both Kelsier and Dockson agree he won't work either. What was the exact thing he says?
I don't know. There was like some. He started for some reason. I started thinking he was talking like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. So basically, Kelsier says that's a mouthful. You don't have a nickname. Not at the Yetting yet.
You see?
And then he also at one point says, "Wasn't the place when I was young." And they're just like, "Yeah, that's not gonna work."
That's some Yoda shit, man.
So Kelsier mentions, anyways, yeah. So he won't work. Thus Kelsier turns to Vin and asks how good she is at impersonating a noblewoman. She says she has lessons from her brother, but has never tried it before. Do you think Vin will be successful in being able to impersonate a noblewoman?
Not at all.
I think she'll pull through.
I think she can pull through.
Mostly because her brother seems like a bitch, but like a strict one. You know?
It's like if he taught her, he probably would have beat her until she got it right.
Yeah.
So Yedin asks if they'll knife him in the back if he and the rebellion don't die, and Bree states that they aren't politicians and have no desire to run a nation. They just want the ATM. Kelsier also chimes in that the nation will likely fracture and that Yedin will only control Luthadel and maybe a section of the central dominance. Yen then asks about the Lord Ruler, and Kelsier says he still wants to try and deal with him personally, otherwise they'll try to get him to go to the pits as well. After that, it's up to Yedin to deal with the Lord Ruler if he's still alive. Do you think Kelsier will be able to kill the Lord Ruler?
Not bad.
Darkness?
Repeat the question.
Do you think Kelsier will be able to kill the Lord Ruler?
No. Well,
No.
maybe, but he also loses his life.
I see.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah, I can agree with that.
You think maybe they'll both die?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what he wants.
And then Vin ends up as ruler. You know,
Vin ends up running
Nah,
the country?
imagine.
I don't know if Vin would, at least definitely as she is now, she would not want to run the country.
For sure.
Want to? No. But how?
So their final discussion is about the ministry, and Kelsier says his brother will deal with them. Then a voice comes from the doorway.
Yeah, right.
Says,
I will.
Yeah, and Vin jumps. A tall man with broad shoulders stands there in modest clothing, and the resemblance between him and Kelsier is obvious. Yedin is excited to see Marsh, but Marsh says he isn't sure if he's back, and that he wants to speak to his little brother privately. The crew all leaves the room, but Vin sneaks back up to listen at the door afterwards. So, do you think Marsh is going to join the crew?
Who even is that loser? Like, who the fuck would ever like him? He's so fucking ugly and just like, what is that character, man?
Is Marsh your favorite character? Like, he's one of mine.
You know, when I first heard of his name, I couldn't stop thinking Swamp for some reason. Instead of March. Anyway, continue.
I mean, that was a do you think Marsh will join the crew?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even though I don't want him there.
Uh-huh. Why do I feel like he's your favorite?
No.
With the way you're acting.
I think you're seeing things the wrong way.
What do you think?
He
Nick?
definitely should die, like, pretty
Do I
soon.
think about him being Darkness's favorite character? Yes.
Yeah. You said no, you don't think he's going to join the crew? With him?
I think he's gonna backstab his own brother.
So that was the end of chapter
I think that's
6.
why you like him so much.
What? That's crazy.
So for my overview questions, do you have any new thoughts on the epigraphs we got? Both of them were kind of about the deepness this time. The deepness.
Also, not to put a wrinkle here in your thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get the next epigraph already because, like I told you, it ends
Yeah,
the chapter with them.
Yeah.
So I have a little more on another epigraph that I don't pay enough attention to, so it doesn't matter. But just letting you know.
That's fine.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think they did that like by accident or something, because like the way it is in the books is it's like technically above the number, but it's like very obviously like part of the start of the chapter, so it like has like in italics like the little paragraph and then the number like, so like for the next chapter it has like the number 7 and then a little symbol.
I don't know. It's kind of weird on the like online version too. Cause like, I get it. It's like on top of the number, right? But it flows into like the after.
It does flow into the after, but like the way like it starts with like the prologue in chapter 1 is it's very obviously like the start. Because like the prologue starts with the epigraph and then says prologue. So like it is supposed to be the part of the like the start of the chapter, but like I do kind of see why they like, based on how it's written, why they did like say like, oh, chapter whatever afterwards. It's just kind of weird. I feel like it comes out better as like paperback than like anything else.
Yeah, the person that's reading it doesn't even say chapter whatever. You know, he just says 6.
That's because
And I'm like,
that's-
okay.
That's why, because
That's
how it's
because-
written in the book.
Yeah, that's because technically the chapter starts after the whatever it is.
Yeah, but as I said, like it's technically supposed to be before. Like, there's not gonna be like an epigraph at the end of the epilogue. There's one at the start of the epilogue.
Have you spoken to Sanderson about this?
No, but also like in the written version, like there's like a bit of a page break after like the end of a chapter, and then it goes to the next page, and then the epigraph is there, then the number. Like I can show you is like 6 and 7. I can send you a picture after stream. Sending my phone for that. But like the page ends, and then the next page starts with the epigraph.
You know what you should do? You should edit the book yourself and put
God.
the paragraph under the number.
No, I'm good. That's a lot of effort.
It's italicized already. We'll know that it's like not part of it.
It's fine.
And then just send it back to him, you know?
Oh my gosh. Anyways, so yeah. So were there any thoughts on the epigraphs? That's where we were at with this.
I forgot.
Still think it's a diary.
I think based on my little look at the next epigraph, I think might have a slight bit more information, but they keep mentioning a place called they keep mentioning a place called Terrace. Do you have any thoughts about like Terrace? Like we don't really get any like reference to Terrace besides the epigraphs so far. Do you think Terrace still exists? Do you think it's only something from the past? What do you think Terrace is?
I didn't remember that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, because they keep saying the Terrace philosophers, and that like the only place that you can defeat the deepness is in Terrace, and stuff like that.
Oh. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm trying not to use the information that I was given at 7, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's actually exists anymore. I feel like it's a dead area, like
I think it's one of the like a past civilization type thing.
Yep, something happened to it. But like I said, that. I mean, I feel like, you know, the people there, though, they can be pretty handsome. in a rugged sort of way.
That's good.
Giving away some things from the next epigraph, huh?
I mean, you know.
Anyways, so my next question was, are there any thoughts you guys have on the cruise plan now that they've kind of gone through their kind of whole idea detail?
I mean, the fact that they said it's going to take them a year to do this, I was like, damn, that's shorter than I thought. Definitely thinking it was going to be like 10-year time skip, you know. We taught Finn how to be an amazing Allomancer, and you know, a year. Okay, it's a little fast, man. Take down an entire civilization of people.
I don't think she's gonna learn shit though.
I think she's gonna get taught.
I think she's gonna learn like a couple of things here and there, but I don't think she's gonna learn like as much as we think she will.
You don't think she's gonna be like Kelsier level?
No, definitely nowhere near Kelsier level.
I mean, Kelsier's only been doing it for 3 years.
I think she's gonna be above Kelsier.
Okay, but Kelsier's crazy.
Kelsier is crazy. It's very true.
And Kelsier, not only that, but Kelsier has also been working as a leader beforehand.
That's true, yeah. And he's been around Mistings a lot more. Like his brother's a Misting and stuff. I feel like he probably knew a lot more about the powers starting off than she obviously has. Sorry, Mythic, did you have any thoughts? I forgot if you answered.
What more thoughts on what?
Any thoughts on the cruise plan now that we have more details on it?
Oh, no. But I think the fact that the only thing I had was about the year long thing. It's short.
Yeah, right.
Like, it needs to happen in a lot longer time. Like, you don't just create a rebellion in, like, that short of a time. Even with all the hatred that's apparently there.
And my final question is, do you think this rebellion is going to take place in the first book or over all 3 books?
Hey, if it takes place over all 3 books, I'm gonna be so pissed. I'm not gonna wait that long.
What the names of the next books?
I mean, it's not really a spoiler because I don't feel like book title the books are spoilers. I believe the next one is Well of Ascension and the third one is Hero of Ages. I believe it's that order.
I think it's happening in this book.
Yeah.
So you think the next 2 books are going to have like after some other sort of plot line afterwards?
Like,
yeah.
Like Kelsier being an actual bad person.
After either their failure or success, depending on what happens. options.
I didn't even think about their failure. Thanks, Midnight. I didn't think about that.
I'm just leaving all the options open.
Maybe they failed.
It's gonna be a riot.
Uh-huh. Bet they're all gonna riot.
So that's the end of
Wait.
our.
I have one more thing.
Okay.
One second. I have to find my note that I had for it.
Okay.
A stomach made of steel.
I wish I had already. I had a new idea. I don't remember what it was now. Damn it. Oh well. I'll have to do it the next time.
You can't find
They
it.
can get.
I don't remember what it was.
What were you gonna say, Darkness?
Nothing.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, you think they get indigestion from the metal?
I got it. I figured it out. I remember what I got it. Okay. So, I was saying all the different types. I think I lumped them into 4 different categories.
Yes.
I think instead of what I had the other one for, instead of spiritual, I think I said before, it seems a lot more like what's like, what is a ghost? God damn it!
Paranormal?
No, like they can pass something when things can pass through other things.
Anything?
Corporeal.
Incorporeal,
like,
I think it is.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be like something like that. Like a lot of, I feel like, because what I had thoughts on where I put them there, I ended up having to move them out of there because they kind of fit in better other categories. And I feel like the Oracle thing could be very good for like, that idea. Like it's being able to go through other people's minds or other like space and time kind of idea. And it's more fluid and corporeal than I think. So I put, instead of spiritual, it's now corporeal. I also have a couple other metals that I have put on here. I don't know if I remember if I said aluminum,
I think you
or
did.
nickel,
Yes.
or nickel.
You didn't say nickel last time. I don't remember that.
And then I also
Well, I
have,
think you said gold. I remember last time.
gold and electrum, but I knew those were there. Like I don't know if they're there, but like because they haven't been explained yet.
How was the
but electrum is a metal in D&D. It is
I think it's
between
also
silver.
a real metal.
Yeah, but the only reason I know about it is because of D&D. It's between silver and gold as the
definition of
monetary
electrum
value.
is a naturally
That's
occurring
the-
alloy of gold and silver with trace amounts of copper and other metals.
Yeah, but most metals, like a lot of metals, are like,
It is
mixed
also
together
known
with
as
other metals.
green gold.
Green gold.
There's a greenish tinge to it.
It's moldy metal.
It's moldy gold, basically.
Oh, and then I have chrome. That's one here too. I haven't put it what I think it's gonna be, but
Chrome.
yeah.
Yeah. So if we
I do have a note on the side that says something about stealing life. So I want to see I want when that does that. That would be really cool. Because Darkness was talking about healing something, and I was thinking about, man, it would be so cool to have a metal that is like vampire, where it sucks the life out of people.
so should we do a quick overview then of the metals we have again? So we have
I'm
iron,
gonna get a headache.
which is pulling on metal. Steel, which is pushing on metal. We have tin, which enhances senses. We have pewter, which enhances strength. We have zinc, which pulls on emotions. We have either brass, copper, or bronze, which pushes on emotions. And then 2 of those also are unknown, what they do. We know that one of them is the soother. It's kind of been alluded to that's probably copper, based on what Clubs has said in Chapter 5. Because he says no amount of copper will make him feel safe around with his decisions around Breeze. And so we don't really know what he does, but he somehow like keeps them safe. I believe from like being found or something. Is what's they said. So that's what we have so far. So we have yeah, iron and steel are a push-pull pair. We have zinc and another one which are a push-pull pair. Do you think tin and pewter are a pair, or do you think they're paired with something else?
No, because we know what pewter and tin do, right?
We know what they do. They just haven't technically been referred to as pulling or pushing yet. They've just been both been mentioned as enhancing something. So that's what I'm saying. Do you think they're also a push-pull pair, and they just haven't been referred to that way yet, or do you think they're technically paired with like not each other but with something else? Like tin's like has like a separate opposite, and pewter has a separate opposite.
Yeah, tin is with gold, and then what was the other one?
Pewter?
Pewter, and then pewter is with electrum. I don't know.
What do you think, Darkness?
I just thought of another idea. But, okay, go ahead.
I think there's too many metals.
Only
I
10
agree.
that we know of, or 11 that we know of.
We don't know that the 11th is actually, but sure.
Well, I think Kelsier has confirmed that like it is an
He can't
elementic
do
metal. He
anything.
just doesn't know what it does.
You can't do anything
Has
with
he
it.
needed it?
I believe the fact that he's calling it the 11th metal, like it's kind of confirmed that like he can burn it. He just doesn't really understand what what it's doing. Like it's not as obvious as some of the others. Like I mean, if you used say like zinc to pull on someone's emotions, if you're just using that in a room by yourself, it does nothing. Like you have no idea what it does if you have no idea what zinc does. So it could be something where like him being alone in a room, like you just don't know what it does.
I
Like, he just doesn't figure it
thought
out.
of 3. I have 3 different now. Oh my god, there are so many ideas, possibilities. I thought about it like kind of the vampire thing. Instead of taking life, maybe it takes the metal from them. Oh, that would be so cool. And then the other one that I thought was like nitrous kind of idea, and then like something that slows you. I don't know what slows you, but like the push pull kind of idea, where like it can push you or it can pull you, almost like it makes you faster or slower. Would be really cool. You think so many ideas.
Iron deficiency is a problem in this world.
It very
Probably
well
not.
might be for Mistborns and Iron Mistings. You're just using up way too much iron.
What? Wait. What if there's a? What if this 11th metal is like a god metal? It does all of them. Like you eat one thing and it could do everything, but because he's
Then
been
you're
eating
blood.
them with everything else, he doesn't notice it. Like if he just ate it by itself, he might actually be able to be like and have all of the metals at his disposal.
I feel like you would have noticed that.
Do you think?
Because
I mean, if you eat all the other metals, you would just assume you're burning the right metal, right? I mean,
no, but I mean it makes it seem as though he can tell how much it's burning and like how fast and like the amount, you know. So like if it's burning that metal, then he could tell that he's using up like whatever it is.
Anyways, so the chapters for next week, we're doing 3 chapters. We're doing chapters 7 to 9, and chapter 9 is technically the start of part 2. Part 2 comes real quick here. So those are our chapters for next week. So yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy. Why are you doing a frowny face? Why? So 3 chapters.
I have so many ideas.
I think most of the episodes from now on are going to be 3 chapters.
Awesome.
I think that was our only 2 chapter one. Yeah. So pretty much most of these will be 3 chapters. I think there's like 2 episodes that will be 4. So that was our only 2 chapter one. So
Okay.
yeah. So yeah,
All right,
thank
everybody,
you guys so
tune
much.
into my stream tomorrow for all of my theories.
All right.
I have a lot of them.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.